Well, well. The inevitable happened yesterday, which is I finally got email from the D2R2 people that D2R2 2020 is canceled. And to be really clear, I think that's absolutely the right decision for them to have made. I think it's the only responsible decision they could have made, and I applaud them for being brave enough to make that instead of sort of pushing on regardless. They have asked for, if people are able, and they're very gentle about this and very nice about this, but if people are able, they've asked people to consider their registration fee a donation, because though they are not putting the event on, I imagine that they have incurred many of the expenses already and the logistics and the planning of that. And it's also, I think, their single largest source of fundraising for the year. And I would say, I mean, I'm very lucky that I can very happily give them that registration money and write it off as a donation. At a minimum, I would really like D2R2 2021 to be able to happen. And if they don't meet fundraising thresholds, there's a possibility that might be the case that it can't. So I'm doing that. More selfishly, now I'm wondering, I bought a ticket to the raffle for a Firefly bike. I'd love to know if that raffle is still going. I mean, I'm happy to let them keep that money too. It was like $10 or whatever for the ticket, and again, I'm lucky I can do that. But the selfish realization here is the only way I'm probably ever going to get a Firefly is if I win one in a raffle. So how about that raffle? In other lesser whatever news, I finally got a new helmet for road riding. I have been wearing a Bell helmet from probably like the mid 2000s, like maybe 2005, 2006, maybe earlier, maybe 2004. Anyway, ancient. And it was just, it's helmets age out. I don't know if you know this. You should know this. But the foam in helmets degrades over time. They get more brittle. They're not as protective. Obviously, they don't. The older helmets don't include more modern safety technology like MIPS or any of that sort of, or like multi-density things, and I don't know, all the advances that they've made. So I finally got myself a new helmet, and I had my eye on one of these POC jams for a while, and I finally managed to pull the trigger on one of these. I'll tell you what I can't remember the model name, because I don't know. I suppose I don't really care. But it's a road helmet, I guess, right? It's got no visor. Isn't that the distinguishing characteristic these days? And it doesn't have MIPS. It has POC spin, which is like whatever their version of MIPS is. But, it's got like the extended thingamajig on the back, and it's got the liner on the inside that's all shock mounted, and it's got the new fangled, like, strappy straps that people do these days, and it's all very new and shiny. I'll tell you what I don't like. First of all, it's glossy, and listen, like, almost every helmet that I've ever owned has been glossy because that's all there was for a really long time. But my mountain helmet is matte or satin or whatever, and I like it a lot. I kind of wish this was satin. It's fine. It's going to be in my head. The good news is when it's on my head, I mostly don't have to look at it, right? So I guess I don't really care. I got it in black because, other thing, there's one other thing I don't love, which is that they've got on the back of the helmet here, they got their logo, right? Cool, I'm down with that. That's all right. But then they've got like the list of like ingredients, and then over here they got the large, like on, and those guys, those are not like a decal that you can like thumbnail pick off. That joint's like silk screen straight on. So I don't really need people knowing that I got like the biggest dome in the world, and I don't really understand why there's a shopping list of ingredients on the back of the thing, but here we are. That's what it is. Anyway, I figure I could probably cook up a couple of decals to go over those if I decide they really bug me and do something about it. They're pretty small. I I don't get it. Maybe it makes stocking it easier because if it gets out of the box, you still know what size you're. Anyway, the fit, fantastic. Air vent, fantastic. Very comfortable. I'm very pleased so far, and I hope I never have to test it in any other meaningful way. I've got several pieces of gear coming in the mail now or soon-ish. I'm waiting for that stuff to show up, which is super rad. It's nice in some ways to not have D2R2 breathing down my neck training-wise, because I needed to put in some very serious amount of vertical feet of climbing to train for that, and I wasn't really looking forward to that part a lot. Also, like I'm cool with going on the rides I've been going on right now because I'm being really careful and really responsible and all that sort of stuff. But the idea of being out for 3, 4, or 5 hours on a bike, there's a lot more chance for exposure and for bumping into people and all that sort of stuff. And I was less psyched about that. Also, being away from the family right now feels weird. Anyway, it also means that I don't have to do some of the panicky stuff. Like I was with gear, I was sort of freaking out that my low gear on my gravel bike is a 1-to-1. It's a 32-32, and which is what they say you should have for a minimum low gear. But a minimum low gear implies that like you're real strong as a rider, and I'm reasonably strong, I think. But you know, there's no harm in having a little bailout. So I had been thinking about how to get lower gears onto that bike, which is quite a production. And it's nice to not have to think about that right now. And then in last bit of news, I don't have it here with me to show you, but while out mountain biking the other day, I fully and completely wrecked the rear wheel on that bike. It was a Mavic UST D-Max wheel. I'd had them obviously, I got them right when they were brand new back in the day. Fantastic wheels, lots and lots and lots of years of heavy service on those, and nothing but lovely things to say about them. But I damaged them in a way that's not really repairable, and even if parts were available, I think they would be pretty much done. Good news is I already have a backup pair of 26-inch trail wheels hanging up in the garage, and I swapped the rear on yesterday. Moved the cassette over and the rotor over and the tire over, and it's a Mavic, I think it's a Crossmax SX, I think, which is sort of like a trail enduro-y wheel set. It's several generations newer than what I had, and that should be good. That's the good news. Bad news is it's I think basically the last serious 26-inch rear wheel that I have around, which means I've got no backups now. Yeah, which has led to sort of longer conversations for me about the future of my mountain bike being a 26-inch wheeled mountain bike. You should understand that I ride 26-inch wheeled mountain bikes because that's what I have. It's what I'm used to, not because I've planted my flag on some hilltop of 26-inch wheels are the right size. I mean, the fact that we had 26s in the first place was it's sort of a default setting because of beach cruisers and the history of cobbling these bikes together. So yeah, the frame I have is 26-inch wheel specific, really. The wheels I have are 26s, except I have no more wheels, and it might be time for me to start seriously considering a modern mountain bike. And I should be clear that by modern mountain bike, I probably mean a steel hardtail frame and building it up into a complete bike. So yeah, I got some research on that I've been doing. I've got some ideas about that. I've got thoughts about that. Me being me and being like the skinflint thrifty Yankee that I am, it's always about trying to do it not like the cheapest, but trying to like maximize performance per dollar. Realizing full well that I would be faster and more comfortable and probably cheaper to just go buy like a Trek or whatever off the showroom floor of like the local bike shop. You know what I mean? I totally realize that full suspension's better. Fine, no argument. I totally realize that like carbon and aluminum are lighter, and that's fine. But I like what I like, and going fast and being comfortable are not particularly important to me on a mountain bike. If I really wanted to go fast, I'd take out a road bike. You know what I'm saying? And as far as lightweight, like there's more weight for me to lose on this body than I could ever pull off a bike. So yeah. Anyway, maybe as I get a little closer here, I'll start sharing some more specific thoughts about where I'm at with frames and geometries and makers and parts and all those sort of details. Maybe I'll take you guys through some of my thinking of that process. But in the meantime, this is where I'm at. Got a new helmet. My big ride for the year got canceled. And I got some new gear incoming and some serious thoughts about the future of my mountain bike.